Good evening, judges and all. We are Team Platinus and we are here to present our equity research for Repco Home Finance Limited. Repco Home Finance Limited is a professionally managed company headquartered in Chennai, Tamil Nadu. It was set up in the year 2000 as a wholly owned subsidiary of Repco Bank and it underwent an IPO in the year 2013. Now, if you see an image on the right hand side of the slide, you see that the company has a significant presence in a certain part of the country, but lately the company has also started expanding into other parts of the country as well. Now, in the next few slides, we will discuss about the housing finance industry, which we believe is set to witness growth in the future because of the following 6 factors. Now, let us delve into these factors one by one. At present, India has a very low mortgage penetration, which stands at 9% when compared with the other developed and emerging economies. Also, India has a favorable demographics with a median age of 27 years. Both these factors indicate that the housing demand is set to grow in the coming years. India has also been witnessing an increasing trend in the urbanization, which in turn leads to high growth in the housing market. But on the other hand, there is also a housing shortage, both in the urban and the rural areas. At present, if we see the housing industry, we see that 40 to 50% of the loans have an average ticket size of 25 lakhs, and it's also skewed towards a salaried segment. While on the other hand, if we see the NSSO census data 2011, it shows that 50% of our workforce fall in the self-employed bracket, which have been not given their due attention which it deserves. Also, banks and agencies have mainly focused on the urban and the metropolitan areas, and there also exists a supply-demand imbalance in the market, where we see that there is a supply overhang in the luxurious higher end of the market, while at the same time there is a housing shortage in the affordable housing segment. Now, let us understand about the competitor analysis.
So now moving on into the competitor analysis. So these are the firms that we have selected for a relative valuation on the basis of their similarity with Repco's business structure. So these are the market cap figures for Diwan Housing Finance, GIC, Canfin, LIC Housing Finance, India Bulls, and this is where Repco stands. Now let us dive deeper into the competitor analysis. While 5 of the competitors are majorly targeting the salaried segment, Repco has created a unique business structure by catering into the self-employed and non-professional segment, which forms 56.84% of its loan book. Its nearest competitor in this regard is Canfin, which has 22% of its loan book exposure to the self-employed segment. However, there is a vast difference between the average ticket size of these two firms, that is Canfin and Repco. Now, an interesting fact to note over here is the way these firms market themselves. While by and large, all the competitors are spending heavily on direct sales agents and direct sales teams, which is putting considerable pressure on their costs, Repco again differentiates itself in this regard based on its unique marketing strategy of employing innovative methods like loan camps, which forms 70% of its customer acquisition, whereas the remaining 30% comes from walk-ins and word-of-mouth referrals. As far as funding goes, the banking system and the debt market are the major funding sources for the bigger competitors like DHFL, IBHL and LIC Housing Finance. Whereas it is for the smaller firms like GIC, Canfin and Repco, which also depend on NHB refinance. Now, major takeaway of Repco is that it is planning to expand into the existing markets by understanding the credit culture of the state. It is planning to expand into. And moreover, it is currently having a consolidation strategy for the short term. Now, talking about competitor analysis on the basis of key financial fundamentals. So these are the major takeaways that we have. However, one of the most significant ones is that Repco's gross NPA has been reducing, which shows owing to the better KYC norms, better information availability through CIBIL, and a better asset quality because of Surface Act. Now let us move on to the financial analysis and key fundamentals of Repco. So the disbursements in PAT are expected to grow at 25% and 19% CAGR on the basis of our financial forecasts. As I already mentioned about the gross NPA figures have been improving over the past couple of years. The operating margins are also doing well, while the interest expense is getting stabilized because of the gradual improvement of NCD and CP funding, which Repco is currently employing. And last but not the least, the capital adequacy ratio is also expected to remain within the mandated requirement above 12%. So now let us move on into the investment rationale.
According to us, the key drivers for Repco's growth are going to be the penetration in high growth geographies, focus on high yielding customer segments, the government impetus, the best in class operating margins, the stabilizing cost of funds, as well as high Tier 1 capital and better resource mobilization. As we can see, 80% of Repco's loan book comes from the 4 southern states, which still has huge unmet demand. As far as its expansion is concerned, it is expanding into Maharashtra and Gujarat, both of which have the maximum house ownership demand status. The self-employed categories of these segments are largely unserved. As far as self-employed segment is concerned, Repco has a unique advantage over here as it gains more net interest margin due to its higher offerings. The other competitors are not willing to cater to this segment despite it being risky. However, 15 years of Repco's experience, its unique business model and certain tweaks in its strategies allow it to cater to this segment while also managing its NPA figures. Moving forward, the government impetus, which is going to be favorable for the entire housing sector, will benefit Repco more. This is because the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, which is typically trying to bridge the affordability gap of the low-income group, has a ticket size which will exactly fit into what Repco is offering. The Indian Mortgage Corporation will also help provide insurance to riskier loans which Repco is currently providing, and these are some of the other measures. As far as the interest rate regime is concerned, as we can see, HFCs enjoy the rate cuts more than the banks, primarily because of their lower operating costs. Now Repco has one of the best in class operating costs, as we've already talked about. By spending only 50 to 40,000, they can earn nearly 2 crores in revenues by their loan mailers. Further, the cost of funds have been stabilizing despite the reduction in funding from the National Housing Bank. Their credit ratings have been improved and Repco is also diversified into commercial market also. It has a higher capital adequacy ratio, way bigger than what the NHB requires, and its current ticket size of 12 lakhs allows it for more priority sector lending to other banks, which will help it in its resource mobilization in the coming years.
Now switching over to valuation. With a market risk premium of 5.5% and an adjusted beta of 1.1, we get a cost of equity of 13.6%. Now we have used 3 different valuation models to get the target share price for Repco. So the first being intrinsic valuation. Here we expect the loan disbursement growth rate to be stable at 25% till 2022, and then it is expected to come down to a long-term growth rate of 5% in the next 10 years. So here we get a target share price of rupees 699. Now the next model being a relative valuation model. Here we use forward P by E ratios of 2017 versus the expected EPS growth rate for all of Repco's competitors. Now based on the 25% expected EPS growth rate for Repco, we get a target share price of 761. Similarly, we use forward P by B ratios versus the expected ROE and get a target share price of 750. Now giving equal weightages to all the 3 different models used, we get a target price of 737. Now the current price being 625 as on 25th of January, we get an upside potential of 18% and thus a buy recommendation.
Having seen the strong fundamentals and high growth opportunities of Repco, now let us look at some of the risk involved in this investment. First of all, we assess the financial risk of the company, wherein we use the traditional CAMELS approach, wherein we rate Repco and its competitor based on the CAMEL parameters. And it is interesting to see that Repco ranks first overall amongst its peers. So it has very low financial risk when compared to its competitors. Moving on to the business risk inherent in the operations of the company, high geographical concentration seems to be the biggest threat. But since Repco is moving into other geographies, so this risk is expected to come down in the near future. Moreover, the riskier customer base that Repco caters to seems to be a bit of concern. But as Repco has been able to manage the NPAs in the past, we believe the same going forward. Other risks that might hurt the short-term profitability are listed on the slide. To assess the model risk and our assumptions, we performed a series of Monte Carlo simulations. First of all, we varied the long-term growth rate and we got upside potential of 11% to 41%. Similarly, when cost of equity was varied, we got an upside potential of 3.5% to 36%. A similar analysis was performed on the spread that Repco charges over its customer. We varied the spread from 1.9% to 3.9% and we found an upside potential of 2.4% to 34%. Lastly, we varied our short-term disbursement growth rate assumption, which has recently been around 27% mark in the past. We varied it from 20% to 30% and the implied returns were minus 0.3% to 37.7%, which results in medium risk. Thus, we see that Repco has been able to manage its risk quite efficiently. As a last part of our analysis, we performed a sensitivity analysis wherein we changed both the cost of equity as well as long-term growth rate together in unfavorable as well as favorable direction.